I think the government is doing a great job for those it represents. You look at the big 5 energy companies. They've announced increased profits of 280 million euros in the last year. The big 5 food companies increased profits of 174 million euros in the last year. Oireachtas, the largest landlord in this country, increased profits of 67.5 million, 16% increase. All the other corporate landlords are the same, the electricity companies are the same, and collectively, you look at the billionaires in this country, they've increased their wealth by 15.5 billion euros since 2020. The government represents those who are profiting from the cost of living and the housing crisis. And those people are doing extremely well. The crisis for ordinary people is an opportunity to profit for those that the government represents. The government does not very clearly represent the interests of renters who are faced with 10% year-on-year effectively rent increases. The government does not represent the 1 in 3 people now who are living in energy poverty. The government does not represent low and middle income workers who are seeing their income effectively eroded day after day after day with prices out of control and the government doing absolutely nothing to tackle them. I heard Minister O'Donovan on the radio this morning talking about the motion, and the Minister said everyone he speaks to is terrified of an election. I suggest, Minister, you might try speaking to some people who aren't government ministers or backbenchers. It might help the perspective of the government if you would speak to some ordinary people out there. Because the people I speak to, they're not terrified of an election, not at all. They would like to see an election and an historic opportunity to kick out Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, to establish for the first time ever in this country a government that is not run by one of the 2 traditional capitalist establishment parties and the conservative ideas that they represent. And I would say to Deputy MacDonald, she says that if Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael lead a government, well then it won't deliver. I agree. If Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael are part of a government, they will continue to represent the same interests, the developers, the corporate landlords and the big corporations. What we need to have, and what we need to fight for, is a left government without Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael. And all those parties that say they're on the left should commit to that, to rule out coalition with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, to fight for a left government, a government with eco-socialist policies that would actually represent the interests of renters, of workers, that would tackle the climate crisis and not represent the interests of the rich as this government does.